All right. Welcome everybody to episode 1 of Spirit Hub's virtual happy hour series. My name is Paul. I'll be hosting, I guess, this first ever occasion in the virtual world we live in at the moment. So we're really happy to have Transformation Spirits here from Louisville, Kentucky. Before we jump into an introduction with them, I'd like to go over who we are as a company. So Spirit Hub, we're super excited to be a part of the independent craft community, but especially in the spirits community. So Spirit Hub is an e-commerce platform that supports independent distilleries from all across the country. That includes Canada and Mexico. So right now we have over 1,300 craft spirits from over 200 independent craft distilleries. So with that, we are Illinois-based, meaning we only ship to Illinois customers. But you're able to get all your favorite craft spirits, just like Transformation Spirits, delivered to your door, usually within 2 business days. But with that, we're adapting and we're getting onto these virtual happy hours. And these are really meant to get to know the people like Tara and Stuart here from Transformation Spirits, and get to know them, as well as get to know the spirits that they're creating with their brand. So enough of me and what I have to say. I'd like to introduce Tara and Stuart, and they can go ahead and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their distillery.
Well, thank you, Paul. Great introduction. And everybody should be turning to you all for coming to this. You've been doing this before it was a thing, before having everything delivered and not leaving your house. So Spirit Hub's the experts for sure.
Yep. Thank you guys for hosting this. We appreciate that. And everybody out there for tuning in, and all of our fellow craft spirits out there. They've been fantastic.
Are we moving on to the London Dry? This is my favorite part.
No, let me tell them what you guys are. What do you guys do? Are you guys the brand ambassadors? Is this your brand?
Well, I'm Tara Ogden. Stuart and I actually co-own and operate the company. Boots on the ground, get out there and get moving. And we are a craft distillery based out of Louisville, Kentucky. We are in Illinois. We're really excited that we have Spirit Hub bringing us out throughout Illinois and getting us everywhere. You?
I'm Stuart Stein, again, co-owner. Tara does most of the marketing and sales work, because you don't want to see me out at brands being a brand ambassador. You'd have to see her doing that. I handle most of the production and the financial component of what's going on. We formed in 2017. We formulated our base spirits, and we released in 2018. So we're fairly new. And our major claim to fame right now, which kind of holds some weight nationally, is we're the official gin of the Kentucky Derby Festival.
Nice.
We beat out a few other gins nationally, and regionally we were able to do that one. So that kind of gave us a little bit of claim to fame.
Perfect.
Our favorite time of year. 2 weeks of a party before a big party.
Why not? And then what do you guys have there? What do you guys make?
So we're a botanical-based company. So one thing that does set Transformation Spirits apart, not just from other companies in Louisville, Kentucky, or in the Bourbon area, but in general, is all we concentrate on are botanicals. We don't do whiskeys, we don't do rums, we do botanical-based spirits in general. So our initial releases was to say what the base of that company is, which is, for us, it's gin. So everything else that we do and will be doing will be based around what our signature gins are. So we have the main signature gin that Tara has.
It's our London Dry. You got to do what you like.
You mean this one?
Yeah, that's the one.
And we do have to do a tiny shout out to Mero and Adam, our graphic designer, because that firm came up from the beginning, and so they actually helped brand us. But even more importantly, we've won awards for what the juice is inside the bottle, and he's won awards for our branding and for the actual bottle design.
Oh, nice.
They nailed it. It's a gorgeous looking bottle. Really
awesome.
Absolutely.
So that's our London Dry.
Very classic London Dry. There's a screw on me.
6 botanicals, very juniper forward, which is what kind of the London Dry style, which we can talk about in a few minutes, is really about. Very, very clean. Transformation for us has always been about transforming things. It's got the classic and being true to what London Dry is, but yet there's a little bit of a twist on it to make it a little bit more modern, not jumping categories in any form.
It's, yeah,
Awesome.
it's not your grandma's gin. It's certainly not a Christmas tree, to say the least, but it's really basic, and that's more of Transformation Spirits and who we are, is taking the very simplistic and the simple and transforming it into something complex and amazing. And I may be a little partial, but I think everybody should be. We have a pretty dang good gin. So I'm not going to complain.
And Paul, you've tasted it, so would you like to actually do
Yeah, I've got some here. I've tried it before, but I'd like to go off of, obviously you guys are the experts, so I'd like to try it with you guys, but kind of walk us through, you know, what are you guys smelling in the glass?
On the nose, it's definitely juniper forward.
Super, yeah.
This is always my favorite part, actually. Because it does smell like gin, but you almost, there is a little cedar hint. There is no cedar in it, but you do get a little bit of that floral, flowery component, but it's really tame.
You can taste that. It's super smooth.
Yes, that's why this is my favorite part.
You're getting to that at the finish, yeah.
Yes.
And then on the palate, as Tara was talking about for us, and you just tasted it, and you thought, like we thought, it's not, people get scared. They've had a gin in their past where they've had too much pine needle tasting like gin in their youth.
Yeah.
And you get juniper forward, which is one of the classic styles of what London Dry is, but it's not overly junipery, tarry, clingy from that standpoint. And what makes us a little different is literally 6 botanicals. So, I mean, we know what they are, so I can taste all of them in here. But there's stuff that's here that there's a little bit of sweetness to it, and there's definitely certainly no residual sugar going on whatsoever. In the initial taste, as you said, we get a little bit of that black pepper spiciness. You get a little bit of that coriander spiciness to it. And then at the end, you get some of the heat. You get the floral component, because there's always a flower component in one.
Yeah.
I always call the back end that black pepper kick. Kind of, it doesn't last. It's a little bit of the spice and the heat and the flavor. It lets you know you're there, which is part of the, I think that's the newness that we bring to it. The modernness is that, hey, this is gin and this is good gin, and hey, don't forget me, even at the back end.
For sure.
And there's 2 citrus components in it. You can taste that lemony citrus part of it that's sort of a little cleansing for us.
The lemongrass and the lemon peel, and they really do put forth that citrus. We tend to not put any lime juice or citrus component in a gin and tonic because the citrus does stand out in this all on its own. And we made a standalone gin. It does great by itself, great in a gin and tonic. Again, like we'll make today. We knew we had what we had when we had that aha moment. I think we've got this. When we were able to make a martini, a gin and tonic, we laid it out. We tried them all.
Yeah.
We wanted something that played well in everything because everybody has different tastes, and being gin drinkers, my taste vary depending upon the time of year. In the spring, I want this. In the summer, I want. So summer's definitely gin and tonic season.
And like we talked about, that London Dry style is very much that. It's juniper forward. There you go for that one.
Cool.
But it's Plymouth. It's, I hate to say beefeater and things like that, but it's got that. It's like you said, it goes across a lot of different styles. It's not something, and our bartenders that we go into accounts with really like this because some gins and some alcohols you can only use for one drink. It's got lavender in it, and I can only use it for that. Where this one, again, they can pour it as a martini, they can pour it in lots of drinks and compounds.
Our 6 are they're pretty basic components, the 6 botanicals that we use, and that's the being very juniper forward is what makes it the London Dry, the Plymouth style, but the grains of paradise and that pepper kick, I think, is what sets us apart and makes us a little bit different. But keeping it simple makes it play so well with so many things. And
Big Copper Stills, like you said, clean it up. It's really clean. we were very not surprised by how clean everything was once you bump it up. Because we're in Kentucky, and because we do like our brown things occasionally, even though we're not whiskey and bourbon drinkers or makers, we are whiskey and bourbon drinkers, that's for sure. We took our classic London Dry. We took it off the still, which is a much higher proof. We proofed it down to where you would do like when you make bourbon or whiskey. It's a lower proof to go into a barrel. Yeah. And then eventually it gets even lower proof to go in the bottle. And so this is in the same proof. It went into the barrels at the same proof you would for bourbon or whiskeys like that. So because we're in bourbon country and we have some connections with bourbon people, and we wanted to make a rested gin that had all the bourbon overtones to it, We take Four Roses bourbon barrels. Thank you, our collaborators over at Four Roses. They dump them, we pick them up, we dump our gin into it after we proof it down. And then our style of barrel rested gin, I'm going to say this, we can't say the word aged because the TTB government doesn't allow aged gins. They allow bourbon barreled or barreled gin. But we let that rest for a very short period of time. I don't know if you can see well on camera or not, but it has a very light color to it.
Can you see it on mine?
Yeah, you can see
a little better.
Yeah, you can see the caramel color and things like that from the toasted barrels. But a lot of other styles of other people's barreled gins are much heavier. You wouldn't know they were gin. You just know that they went into a barrel. So specifically, we did this to bring out the best of what those bourbon flavors were, but we wanted a gin.
It's a marriage between the two. It's a marriage between the flavors. It has the bourbon caramelization and the vanilla tones and that kind of stuff to it, but you don't lose the juniper to it. It mellows all of those great aspects of both bourbon and gin, mellows them out, pairs them really well, and quite frankly, it's almost turned me away from being a bourbon drinker or a whiskey drinker. Just so mellow and it's so easy to drink, but we mix it like we would a whiskey drink. An old fashioned, which is the old fashioned we'll be making today, is probably my favorite quote unquote whiskey drink. And with this, in the middle of the summer, in the hottest part of the day, it's not so heavy, it's not so hot, and so it's an easier gin, I would say, for non-gin drinkers, especially those that don't particularly care for the juniper, which I again love.
So yeah, on the nose, you can smell, like you were saying, you still get the juniper on it, but I pick up some of the wood.
You can smell a little bit of the oakiness in it too.
Exactly. Right. This was literally only a few months in oak in number 3 charred bourbon barrels that were already used for bourbon. So you still get, it still smells like it did, but it's a lot tamer, as she said, than what the London Dry is. And certainly on the palate.
It even mellows, it mellows the gin out. You get the juniper.
You get all the stuff that came from the barrel and the bourbon, and thank God there's always a little bourbon in those bottles and those barrels that we pour into. But you get brown sugar, you get the vanilla, you get the toast and everything. But as we were talking about, and in the back of the palate, you still get that spiciness and a little bit of citrus. But it's still gin, and that was our key: is that we're still making a gin. We didn't want to turn something else into it with that.
Well, I have a question for you guys too. Do you feel how do your customers react? You know, you're living around the people that love bourbon and whiskey. Are you guys getting a good reaction? Because to me in general, I'm not a gin drinker, but this is kind of uncommon for me to see a barrel aged gin, because if it's not bourbon or whiskey, why would it be aged? But do you feel your customers, are you getting those people that are kind of moving in from drinking bourbon and whiskey to trying your gin as like a compliment?
I think so, and these are my favorite customers. Oh, I don't drink gin. Okay, well, I know you'll like one or the other. Most of them like both, but my favorite is that I only drink bourbon. Okay, try the bourbon barrel. Ooh, the response I usually get is, oh, I can drink this first. I can drink this in the middle of the summer. It's not so hot, it's not so heavy, and they still do get the bourbons, and it is a little sweeter almost on the palate too.
Yeah, I think I prefer the barrel aged or barrel rested, I should say. To me it's very clean. I mean, I'm not a gin drinker either, but I could tell you that if you're not a gin drinker, this might be your go-to at the start.
Oh, absolutely. It is the milder version of the gin. And the same with the bourbon. A lot of bourbon drinkers, they say, you work your way up to some of the heavier bourbons or drinking bourbon neat. This is definitely a great starting point, as well as a keeper at the middle of the summer, those hot parts of the day. End your night with bourbon, start your day with bourbon barreled gin.
And it's also, I mean, and we're distributed in a number of states, including Illinois with you at Spirit Hub. But in our hometown of Louisville, it's fairly well received, but they're bourbon drinkers. So an aged gin is not so much, or a barrel rested gin.
For sure.
You go down to Tennessee, and yes, there's Tennessee whiskeys, and they're very done there, but bourbon's not quite as prevalent with them. And then they taste this, and they go, oh, something else is going on here, and things.
Gotcha.
So like I said, it's I don't want to say it's regional from this United States component of it, but it's really like what you said. It's either what you as a customer are used to drinking or looking for drinking, or what your mindset was, kind of going.
For sure. You just got to try stuff, guys. That's for all the viewers too. Because you never know, right?
We certainly sell more of the London Dry, just because, as a gin, we've got a number of accounts that use it as their gin in the well. You order a gin, you get our gin. But we were surprised how much we sold of this. It's limited release, but we have a good number of bottles of it. But
it may not be limited release anymore, right?
Exactly.
Just kidding.
And we mainly limited released it because, we're aging it and resting it, and it's a matter of, trying to match flavors and tastes from barrels to barrels and from, to manufacturing, producing and production. So not that they don't taste similar, but there is a little bit of leeway between bottles.
Right.
Perfect.
Also, being a higher seller on the gin, well, you and I did an event together, and we even had Londoners who are very particular about their London dry gin. We had a guy buy a case to take home with him for the family. So we know we've got a good classic London dry, but it's also modern. And the biggest critics are usually my favorite, because I've yet to not win over a big gin critic, and I will never drink gin again. 1 out of 100 maybe might not drink it. Usually even I've had a bad incident gin drinkers will go for our gin, and they're my favorite. I love turning people around. No, let me teach you, this is really what good gin should be like.
Yeah, so you've got people at home now, right? So everyone's sitting at home. They're probably watching this right now. They want to make a cocktail with this, right? We're talking about the London dry gin. Hopefully everyone has gin at home right now, as they can try. But what's your favorite cocktail, or I guess, what's your go-to cocktail when it comes to mixing in the London dry gin?
I'm a little bit of a sweet and sour person. So with the London dry, I do like the gimlet because it does have that sweet and sour component to it. And they're simple. I can be lazy about it.
Yeah.
And I will say this, Tara actually, we beat out a whole bunch of higher end distilleries at a couple of cocktail mixology competitions with an apple rosemary gimlet, where
nice.
we added fresh apple juice and rosemary syrup and things to what Tara's about to make, and we added some foam and eggs and made it more of a mixology cocktail. But at its heart, it was still a gimlet, and as she said, it's sort of what we really like. So this is not simplistic, but it's a classic modern drink. The ratios for us are a little bit more gin heavy because we don't want to overpower things with as much citrus and everything. But it's with everything you have at home.
Simple.
For sure. Will you go over the ingredients for everyone looking, and what they need to make this make the gimlet?
We're gonna make it really, really easy. Keep it simple. My favorite method is the KISS method: lime juice, simple syrup, and our London dry gin. And London dry gin in general is great, but I certainly say with the floral components and the sweet and even that little bit of spice and kick, even the simple is a lot more fun when you're using our gin. I know I'm biased, but I also have heard that I'm not the only biased one, so I'm doing okay, I think.
Yeah.
And it's really easy, jigger and pony, 3/4 ounce lime juice.
Now, we squeeze our own limes and do all that other kind of thing, but again, it's a matter of what you have at home and what you got going on.
You squeeze our limes. There are days when I'm just happy to not have to deal with it. This is simple, so
yeah.
I have my days. And another 3/4 ounce simple syrup.
This one is the Demerara natural sugar that we happen to use, and it's 1 part water, 1 part sugar that we just boil together to emulsify that.
Perfect.
I drink ours a little less sweet, so we either put less syrup in, or we put a different ratio, but this works as the classic. And then how much gin? One in each one.
2 ounces of gin. So simple. It's really that is why this is one of my that's why this is one of my favorites. And then doing a mini shaker. You can shake his hips. I just shake the shaker. Takes about 10 seconds, and really, I'm too lazy to even count. About the time the shaker gets cold, good to go. I prefer it in a coupe glass. That being said, there are days when a plastic cup will do for me too. So.
You've got kids, don't worry.
Yeah, that's exactly why. I've got a teenager. Simple, garnish with lime. It's pretty, it's easy, it's delicious. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. Usually not, it makes everybody happy. It's really good. It does, everybody likes it, and it's now is the perfect time. It's getting warmer, sitting out on the patio. We all want to feel like we're on the beach.
Right.
This is that taste of that bright and springy being outside. So pour yourself a gimlet, kick your feet up, close your eyes, and turn on your
And
Alexa
sip away.
and listen to the beach like you're there.
For sure. Well, thanks for showing us that. Also, you guys want to show us, what do you guys have for us using the barrel rested or the limited release barreled gin?
For the barrel, we're talking about, because it has those bourbon overtones, it works really well. Yes, on the rock, as we like to call it, one big giant ice cube works fine. But any of those bourbon or whiskey drinks, especially that don't overmask things too much and allow the juniper to kind of come through, for ours works. As Tara said, one of our favorite that we go to, Manhattans and Old Fashions are our favorite sort of bourbon and rye drinks that we end up doing. So we call this the Bold Fashion for ours. I'm going to do it a little bit more mixology-like, but at home it'll be a little bit easier. We can talk about. It's really just sugar, a little bit of bitters, and we use our homemade orange bitters, and bourbon or rye. And for us, we're going to use the Bourbon Barreled Gin. And so if you have simple syrup, and our recipe up on the website at Spirit Hub says this, go ahead. If you don't have sugar cubes and water and things, go ahead and make your own simple syrup and use simple syrup for that. But in order for what we like, I take a sugar cube, I take some orange bitters over here, and a little bit of water.
Cool.
For us. And then my favorite, I love muddling, you know, it's the child in me. You know, and muddling is just in order to kind of break up the sugar. You're making your kind of your own little baby simple syrup is kind of what's going on here with the bitters that are in it. It'll take a couple, 10 seconds to be able to just break everything up for it.
And when your muddler looks like a baseball bat, we do go to the simple syrup, because the baseball bat often is stolen by the 9-year-old little boy who thinks it's a baseball bat. So simple syrup is a great option.
It does. It looks like the Louisville Slugger Museum. You get these at the end of the tour, but it's kind of what's going on. Once that's done, it takes about 2 ounces of the actual alcohol. And so this is our bourbon barreled, as we talked about. I speak.
That's good.
And, what you need is our giant cube, as we like to call it.
No, we need bigger eyes. We need bigger tongues for big eyes. We need big rope.
And then go ahead and just basically mix it in order to, and you can see the sugar's already dissolved into it. And so it mixes just everything together. Larger the cube, the less it's going to dilute things. It takes longer to be able to do that. And then, we go ahead and take a little orange and a little orange twist and garnish it with a little orange twist. The simple syrup version literally is take simple syrup, as we talked about, add the gin to it along the way, mix it up. Go ahead and add the ice cube and a dash of orange bitters or Angostura or any other bitters you want to be able to use. And there you go.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I know what I'll be doing this weekend. So I'll be able to try both in my own dispense, obviously, this weekend. But thank you guys for showing us that. We had some questions come in throughout, but I guess I kind of missed them. We had Jennifer Schaller ask, I don't know if you just touched on this, but do you guys make anything else other than gin or any other spirits in general?
Right. The current releases are the Bourbon Barreled and the London Dry.
Okay.
For those of us who've been in Europe, if you may have heard of Limoncello, a lemon-flavored liqueur, and that's going to be released later this year, and it'll be on Spirit Hub at some point.
It makes it sound fancy. It is grandma's lemon bars in a bottle. It drinks so easy. It's one of my favorites. So it's been on our list for a while.
It is. It's been formulated. Bottles have been made. It's just a matter of going through production now. What's going on, and with everything that's been happening, we put off production of that for a little while. The other things that we formulated and are working and will be releasing, again, because we don't do whiskeys, we're going to be doing sweet and dry vermouths, because that also kind of balances out our gin line. There's several other, an Amaro, which is what Campari and Aperol and those sort of bittersweet liqueurs are. And so that's in the finishing formulating right now, because if anyone knows what a Negroni is, or a Boulevardier, a Negroni is gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth with a bit of bitters and orange. Thus, hopefully within a year or two, we have every product to make your own Negroni with. And a few other styles of gin, in particular a Navy strength gin, and then our favorite, besides that, is an Old Tom.
That's
nice.
Just so the house cat can go on the back of the
Yeah.
bottle. No.
The bottles, the barrel age has barrel staves on it. The London Dry has juniper on it, so has to go on the Old Tom for the cat gin.
The cat gin.
Perfect. I had another one came in on Facebook. So Michael Freed asked, how long, you may have touched on this too, but how long is it, not necessarily aged, but how long is it rested? I think you may have hit this, but I might have missed it.
It depends on the batch, and we banter back and forth all the time. He'll go from 6 weeks to 8 weeks to, I swear, every time he tells the story, it's longer. It's an average of about 2 months. We literally taste it every 2 weeks. Once it tastes like we know it should taste, then that's when we decide to pull it. So it is solely based on taste. So it may say limited release. That also does go with it could be 6 weeks. It might take 3 months. There's so many fun factors that we base it on taste and keep it very similar to what the original has been.
Perfect. Now a question from me. So now I'm really going to drill you guys. Just kidding. What the heck are you guys doing making gin in Bourbon Country?
Oh, well.
Actually, our favorite. Because everyone in Louisville is like, why are you not making bourbon?
Right.
I'd love to say nobody else is making gin in Bourbon Country, but that's not quite the case. We love bourbon and we love whiskey. And we have a basic idea of the process, and it's complicated, and these master distillers that are making bourbon and whiskeys do a great job. So why are we going to stumble in and try and reinvent the wheel at something we don't know what we're doing?
Right.
And let somebody who knows what they're doing do it. And we love our gin, and there aren't many people making gin, and certainly not in Bourbon Country, which I love how Bourbon Country is one of the warmer areas of the United States, and here comes this really hot and heavy alcohol. It definitely tastes like the region it comes from, but why not give the region this is our flavor to that region, and a twist and some variety.
Yeah, that's the main reason. Gin, besides the fact we drink it and we like it, gin as a category for the drinkers out there, and the people who are now going back to classic cocktails, whether they're in their home or at the restaurant.
Yeah.
That category used to see a decline, and bourbon started going up. Now that category is that people are more interested in it and things. And we saw this giant hole in general across the category, but really in Louisville and Kentucky and Tennessee and a lot of areas where people weren't making it. There was a need for it, but people weren't actually going for it.
Right.
And so as Tara said, one reason we're a botanical-based spirits company is that's what, we know how to make, and I know how to make this. I've been a culinarian for a long time, and infusing and distilling and doing everything that you do to make gin or other types of botanical-based spirits. I've been doing it for a while. We know the category. There's a big hole there, or was a big hole there, and we saw it and we went for it.
The short and simple answer is really do what you love. We know what we love. We know we love the flavor. We did mess around a little bit with some other spirits that we weren't big drinkers on, and that didn't go so well. So how can you go wrong when you already love it? You already have a passion for it. Why not stick to what you enjoy? So that would be the simple, I think. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, we look forward to carrying more of your product. Obviously, we're thrilled to have you guys on the platform. We appreciate you guys being there. We at Spirit Hub love supporting our independent craft distilleries. We understand this may not be the greatest time for you, but we enjoy having you around. We enjoy seeing your smiling faces. Obviously, this isn't the only episode we're going to have, but we do definitely appreciate what you guys do and the products that you guys are making. Outside of that, though, we want to thank all the viewers. This is the end of the show. Again, thank you, Tara, and thank you, Stuart, for joining us today. If you guys, if the people that are on our live feed, if you guys are interested in buying a bottle, you guys can visit spirithub.com. Again, the brand is Transformation Spirit. On top of that, for these wonderful people joining us today, we're offering 10% off plus free shipping, and it's only valid through Sunday, which is April 19th, right? April 19th. Use promo code HAPPY1, so HAPP1 all together to get it. And you can buy, like I said, we've got both of those products on spirithub.com. I don't know, Tara, Stuart, you guys have anything to say?
Just thank you all, and it may be a trying time for us all, but nothing brings out the best in everybody than the innovation that comes from necessity. So let's all learn together, and why not have fun and have a drinking? We can't wait for the next Spirit Hub episode to see what y'all have.
Listen, there's plenty more just to join you. And on top of that, we've got another one coming on Tuesday. We've got Montanya Distillers at 5 o'clock, so same time, Central Standard Time on April 21st. We look forward to doing more of this, assuming we get everybody else that's coming in to watch us. But we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, Tara, Stuart, thank you again for taking time out of your day and out of your distillation to join us and really help represent both of our brands. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.